Hello everyone and welcome back to Deresley. As you can see, this isn't Deresley. This lovely bridge behind me is the historic bridge that goes through my hometown of St Ives in Cambridgeshire. Exactly why I'm here I'll come back to in a moment, but first I'd like to thank my subscribers. At this moment I'm just under 5,000, and by the time I get this edited and out to you, I'm sure it's going to exceed 5,000 subscribers. I find that amazing actually, that my interest in my modelling has created this amount of followers. I'm really grateful, and thanks for all your comments and your continued support. Anyway, the reason I'm here is that currently I'm making, it's like a large diorama really, but it's going to be the centrepiece of the town of Deresley. And I've done the sort of basic structure, but I want to have a look at streets and pavements, and it's surprising how everyday things that you take for granted, you really have no idea what they look like, and not in detail anyway. So the object of this is to come down today. This is New Year's Day, and it's quiet, and I've got my camera with me, and I'm going to photograph some buildings perhaps for more scratch building, and I'm going to photograph pavements and all those things that we take for granted to help my modelling. So I'd just like to say a Happy New Year to everyone, and let's get on with the photos. I am looking for scenic detail that I can bring into Deresley. Detail that is often overlooked but can easily be introduced on your layout to lift it and set it apart from other layouts. Here are a few of the photographs I took. Some interesting details here. Bricked up windows, ventilation units and wiring can all be easily and cheaply replicated. This charming period shop looks as though there has been little change to its appearance over the years, and would not look out of place on a layout set in the 50s or 60s. I will be adapting this for Deresley Town Centre. When shooting buildings, always get as square on as you can. Yellow lines were introduced before the 1960s, so I will be adding them to my roads. I photograph anything that looks interesting and decide later whether I can use it on my railway or not. Another interesting shop, smaller than the last. This should be easy to adapt for Deresley. I look out too for ground texture, particularly where there is a meeting of different types. Here there are 5 types of road paving textures. 7 if you include the divisions between some of them, and 8 if you include the drain covers. Simple things to bring into your street scenes. Many of you who have followed my build will be familiar with this scene. It is Cromer Road in Deresley, and up till now it's been the only little area of the town I've been able to model. Space is a bit limited, but I did feel I would rather like to have a little more town centre detail in my railway. I want Deresley Town Centre to be modelled to give me more photographic opportunities, but I don't want it to take up any more room than my railway already does. So I've made a cover for my operating area, and on that I intend to build Deresley Town Centre. I've made the cover from 6mm MDF, and it fits the area like that. Now I realise I can't operate my railway with it in place, but I can do a lot of photography with it in place, and that is interesting for me, so obviously I'll have to carefully remove this when I operate my railway. As you can see, it takes up no more room than my railway does at the moment, and it provides a more interesting thing to look at than just the control panel. So recently I've decided to make an effort to work on my town centre, and I'm at the town planning stage for this. So what I've done is cut a piece of 2mm MDF to fit on top here, and on here I've started to lay out some roads. I've put some pen marks here for an intended road to come round here. I've only got a couple of buildings at the moment, and that position is to take the shop that I scratch built from some existing buildings in Southwold in Suffolk. And on the original buildings there was another shop here that I've always intended building. I have filmed this and will show it on my next town planning video. The only other building that I have complete at the moment is the Scale Scenes garage. Not quite sure where it'll finally end up. Possibly something like that. Anyway, whatever the final layout, I don't want this area to be flat. I want it to incorporate a rise to a new level. To get a feeling for this, I clamped the board on the right hand side and placed a piece of scrap timber under the left. I don't want to overdo this, and this slope over this small area does not look out of place. So with the road finally decided, I set about making the cut in the thin MDF. I'm not cutting the board in two, simply cutting from the lower level to the top of the slope along each side of the road. Having done this, I need to cut some spaces from timber to establish the height of the upper level. I built up a series of supports to strengthen the upper level and glued and screwed them in position. When this was done, I turned the board over and glued it in place on the control panel top. Heavy weights or piles of books will hold everything in place. You can see now how the road slopes up to the higher level. I cut and glued wooden supports under the sloping road to prevent it flexing. With the buildings back in place, I can judge the effect of the two levels. I'm also becoming clearer about the other buildings I want to scratch build, and I have decided upon the final layout of the buildings. At least I have for this part of town. The first thing to do once the base structure is finished is to paint the roadway. I do this with a mixture of white, black and raw umber acrylic paint, making sure the colour is not mixed too dark. I mix and remix this combination as I go. I don't want a perfectly even grey colour, and I check my photos for road colours and tones. I try to match what I see and not what I think the colour should be. You can see I have already attached the perimeter walling and have started to lay the pavement. The walls were mainly Metcalfe red brick papers, and they covered 2 layers of 2mm grey board glued together. This made a fairly rigid and convincing looking thickness for the walls. The pavements are also from Metcalfe. Most have been laid at this stage. In order to get a more pedestrian looking area, I have used 1200 grit glass paper or sandpaper painted with acrylics. In this instance I used a maroon and dark brown mix. Referring to my reference photos, I added some detailing to the joint between the pedestrian area and the road. Well, this is pretty much all I'm going to include on this video, except lastly I have one slight problem with one area, in that I can't make up my mind what to put there. The current idea is for a town war memorial, which will give me a small area for a formal garden type scene, and perhaps a small car park for the shoppers. Please let me know if this idea sounds good, or would you do something different? There will be power to this board, so if you have any ideas and suggestions, I would be most interested to hear them. In the next update, which won't come out until February, I'm afraid, I will show you the build-up of the shop shown earlier, and how I scratch built the other 2 shops shown in my new photographs. I hope to complete the top end of town at least. Well, that's it for now. Only a short video, I know, but I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, and all comments are most welcome. Thanks for watching.